Hey guys, Hijinks here, and I wanted to look at the only survivor to ever escape the entity's influence. That being Vigo. Vigo is an inventor and researcher that studied the entity from its biology to its realms. Through his studies, he made new items from the fog. It is believed he invented the hatch. He has a lab located in the realm of the entity which other survivors have accessed. At some point, he entered the void for an unknown amount of time but found a way to escape the entity using the putrid serum that he extracted from the flower in the void. And let's look at some references. Vigo's journal. In a wasteland of forgotten dreams and endless routine, the man with a way out is God. Talbot Grimes. The journal of a man who claimed to have returned from the void. The knowledge within has practical information. Engineer's Toolbox. I've created tools beyond compare and stood paralyzed as they were stolen from me. These are but a poor replica spat out by the fog. Vigo's journal. Rainbow map. It disheartens me. All this unspeakable knowledge and grueling effort, and yet nothing tangible, nothing usable to get out of this nightmare. Vigo's journal. Vigo's blueprint. A clever design that has the letter V etched on the bottom. Vigo's jar of salty lips. A tightly sealed glass jar containing both human lips floating in a murky brine. Some believe it brings good fortune. Vigo's shroud. I found more marvels through the years in the fog, but only now do I understand how to bend the fog's irrefragable rules. Vigo's journal. Lightborn. These monsters, they adapt. They emerge with strange new abilities. Vigo, from Vigo's journal. Pustula flower. A rare flower secreting a thick, pungent nectar during the hallowed blight. Vigo's journal. Tome 2, Aria 632. Through a rift, I believe I called another memory of Vigo manifesting reality within the entity with something reminiscent of the Orus. How he came to understand the machinations of the fog is both puzzling and inspiring. It suggests to me that perhaps this place enhances one's connections to our infinite selves throughout the Omniverse. Tome 5 2 Vigo. I discovered a hidden laboratory while running away from a monster. Its stocks are uncommonly plentiful. I observed shelves of alkaloids, crates of silver syringes, piles of protective clothes, and a journal signed Vigo. Its pages are filled with notes on an ancient force that controls the nature of this place, that shapes it. I also noted a few drawings of growing cankers I've seen on trees. Tome 5 3 The Blight. I have been obsessively deciphering Vigo's journal. His work is elegant, but erratic. Drawings obscure conclusions from disjointed fields. Most entries mention a powerful force, the entity, which undergoes a purge that occurs once a year. During this period, the entity is infested with the blight, according to Vigo. Cankers bloom into pustulas, a type of flower that spurts putrid nectar, the thick fluid I saw oozing from the trees. The last pages of the journal mention a serum distilled from the nectar, but the pages detailing its effects and preparation were torn out. Tomb 5 4 Wounded. I'm hiding in a dense strip of forest. I'm desperate to erase the distressful images engraved in my mind. Last night, a disfigured man barged into the laboratory with a gruesome mechanical mouth and shred the walls to splinters. I barely escaped with my life, and wounded my arm in the process. I have no options left. These monsters find me no matter where I go. All I have is a journal filled with obscure promises of escape. I will return to the laboratory. Tomb 5 6 Experiment 2. I awoke to a terrible cry booming from the cellar and a violent bout of nausea. Through the vile ordeal, I started to recollect what had happened. Tainted with the foul serum, my wound had swollen with lymph, at which point my assailant returned. Most of our fight was a blur, but I can recall red tears trickling down his gruesome cheeks as I clawed at his face. And some moment later, when I kicked him, sending him crashing into a brick wall, the power I felt then. There are no words for it. I now know that there is truth to Vigo's methods. Another cry. My assailant, now chained in the cellar, must be getting restless. This is just the beginning. Tome 5 7 The Peak. I should have foreseen his escape, given the potent dosage I administered him, but I needed to see results. Pustule flowers are now blooming on the path leading to the laboratory. According to Vigo's journal, this rapid spread is a sign that the blight is at its peak. Soon there will be no more putrid nectar to extract. Tome 510. At last. Based on Vigo's calculations, tonight is my last chance. I filled a syringe with the last drops of serum and injected it into my arm. Tome 512. Vigo 2. I looked for Vigo. I shouted his name with no concern for the monsters lurking about. I need to find him. I pictured the scene, etching a canvas of wild lines in my mind, focusing on the moon, and I know something is off. I fed the dead rodent under my pillow. I want to start off with some theories on Vigo's background. I want to start off by talking about something from the Dead by Daylight wiki trivia. It states that the devs took inspiration from Giovanni di Vigo, a 16th century Italian surgeon who wrote extensively about anatomy and the treatment of ulcers, wounds, and diseases for his name. However, it is unlikely that Vigo is actually Giovanni di Vigo, and I'll go into that through this next piece. As stated, Giovanni di Vigo was from the 16th century. The 16th century took place between 1501 and the 1600s. Given from some things in Vigo's lab, I was able to kind of get a rough estimate about what time period Vigo would be from. Silver syringes were invented in 1853 by Charles Praves and Alexander Wood independently. Silver syringes were used all the way up until 1955. So that would put him into the 1900s. We can get in a little bit closer to zero in when Vigo was active in science. Utilizing another scientist, we can find out roughly when Vigo is from. That would be Talbot Grimes. He graduated in 1838 and was taken while the Second Opium War was being fought. This war happened between 1856 and 1860. The war was ongoing when Talbot was taken, which means that most likely he would have been taken between 1856 and 1859. And why is this relevant to Vigo? Talbot was able to interpret Vigo's studies and utilize the equipment. This implies that the equipment predates Talbot or was implemented during the time in which Talbot was practicing prior to being taken by the entity. We know these items are relevant to Vigo because we are aware that the entity brings things from your life into the void. So given this and the silver syringes, we know Vigo was taken between 1853 and 1859. There is a possibility of maybe the 1860s or 1870s, but as changes in science occur at a rapid pace, it's unlikely he's outside of the 1800s. We can infer the entity does not travel through time in a linear way. So Vigo could be taken at any point in a period of time and spend exponentially more time in the realm despite only have existing a few years separate from Talbot Grimes. So can survivors escape the entity's influence? So the means to escape are in the realm. However, Talbot still has Vigo's journal in his possession, which has instructions to escape. Even if the journal could be retrieved, crucial pages are torn out, which can make escape harder, and so experimenting would have to occur. However, I do have a list of survivors I think could potentially escape despite the struggles I've listed. First is Claudette Morel. She's a botanist and has an understanding of plants, and this would help her understand how to properly work with the pustula flowers. Then as a possible survivor to escape, I have Zarina. Zarina has an audio recorder to store information and to continue experimenting, as we do know things can be forgotten due to the mind wipe when a survivor does die. Then I have another survivor with just a possible chance, and that being Felix Richter. He has an understanding of the entity and has been studying it. The developers say Felix is close to the entity as well. Another survivor with a possible chance to escape would be Elodie Riccotto. She has been studying the entity and has an understanding of it as well. Another survivor, who I think has a strong chance to escape, would be Michaela Reed. It's said that Vigo most likely made the hatch inside the realm, so we do know that things can be created within the realm that aren't created by the entity and have them be lasting. Michaela has experience with witchcraft and has made homemade products and serums that are similar to that which would be worked with the pustule flowers, but not only that, through her ability of witchcraft and the things that she's worked with, I think she could manipulate the realm and create other holes to escape from. Then I have Jonah Vasquez as a maybe. He has a strong understanding of math and is really good at putting together complex riddles and puzzles. So from looking at the notes, despite the things being torn out, he might be able to put together the missing pieces to help himself better understand what needs to be done to accomplish a possible escape. I have Yoichi Asakawa as a maybe. He's a marine biologist and a psychic. I feel like as a scientist, he's going to be able to understand the data that's presented to him, even though he's not a botanist and not a chemist. I think that through his studies, he's going to understand how to read the notes properly and how to possibly execute some of the experiments required, even if not perfectly mirror them, get something within the same ballpark using his science background. Another survivor that could possibly escape would be Hattie Carr. We've seen with Vigo that one can explore the realm and find things to help hedge their bets. So, as an experienced traveler of the supernatural, I think she'd be great for finding holes within the realm. Another survivor I think has a chance to escape would be Vittorio Toscano. He has experience with the entity and he's well researched and may know of another possible way to escape the influence of the entity. And then finally, I have Sable Ward as someone who has a chance to escape. She was able to bring in invocations. This implies that, much like Michaela, she has a background with the supernatural, and she also could probably make some sort of adjustment to the realm that would benefit her chances to escape. And so, that being said, guys, that's all I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down below what survivors you think would escape the entity's influence. And with that being said, guys, have a great day. Peace.